Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Narrative. I'm Malfunction, your host, and with me tonight I have got Konstantinos Petrosalis from Estonia by way of Spain. Or is it? No,
Mhm.
it's Greek. Greece. I always think it's Spain. I don't know why. I think it's probably got to do with all the Latinas in Spain.
Mm.
And that sort of always remains in my head because from South America, Latinos look quite a lot like Indians, much lighter skin, but they do look a lot like Indians. And even Christopher Columbus, the great, well, mapper of the world, whatever, traveler, even he got confused. So I can get confused. I'm a
Yeah.
nobody. So if he could get confused, it doesn't matter if I get confused. All right. So the drink of tonight is hata. This
Mm.
little one I picked up yesterday. This is from Japan, if I remember right, or might even be Korea. I might be wrong. But these have little ball bearings in them that you have to knock down really hard. And I actually hurt my thumb just trying to do it because I
Oof.
used the back of a butcher knife.
Mm.
And so you have to, it's got a glass ball bearing that has to get pushed down and then it pops in and then lets all the carbonated water come up or the
Mhm.
carbonated soda come up and then boom. All right. So that's the drink and it's blue. And I think it's blueberry, I guess. But all in all, it's a good taste. So
Mm.
introduce yourself, Konstantinos, while I have a sip.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Konstantinos Petrokilos. I'm from Greece, living in Estonia for a few years now. I am the creator of my comic book series Still Get Metal Team, as well as of some other projects that hopefully will follow in the future. And they all form together a universe, but each title will stand for its own. But there will be key characters appearing in all this series. So far, I have Arc 1, Issues 1 to 4 from Silk and Metal Team that have been published from Rising Sun Comics, which is an indie publisher based in Los Angeles. And I've also partnered up with Malfunction here, who has his New Zealand company, Rising Sun, Oceania, Plants Entertainment. And so we me and him have partnered up at least in I think in two projects so far. The one is CB at PJ, a satirical comical comic strip. You can see the first strips for free in the New Zealand website, plantscomics.com, and we also do together the Templeton Torn book. I'm the illustrator. Malfunction is the creator and writer, and it's been a very fun experience. I'm also growing on the craft because of all these opportunities. So I have learned a lot, and I have quite, much fun. So
Awesome.
that is so.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we put it out there that we wanted someone to work on this title and we got set up to do this. Um, so the story of Templeton goes back at least about a decade or so. Inspired by Constantine, one of my favorite top three characters from
Mm,
DC Comics. Actually, not DC Comics. He was Vertigo Comics.
yeah.
Created by the great Alan Moore, John Constantine, for his series that he was writing on at that time called Saga of the Swamp Thing. Well known, very very amazing series of comic books that's been printed over and over and over again the last 40 odd years almost. And it's just one of my I just like his writing style. The characters he's created is just such a good story. So number 27, I should have pulled it out. It's there somewhere on the shelf. Number 27, Saga of the Swamp Thing, or Swamp Thing as it like to be called, as they call it sometimes, is where John Constantine appears. He's a Brit, and was a I guess it's a Londoner or Cockney or something like. I can't remember which one it is. But anyway, of course, you guys have seen the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves. He should have went blonde, but that's okay. I'll excuse him. And not only that, but they took it to America. But it was what it was. It was a charming little movie with a lot of really cool special effects. I have to say, it was
Yeah.
on the supernatural side. It was really really well done. And
Mhm.
so the CGI was good, the story was good. It brought in the characters, you know, that really delved into that supernatural world. And, you know, sitting on the waiting for a plane back from Fiji in 2010, I was like, I could do a story about Fiji. You know, I should do a story about Fiji and about the different gods and demigods of the Hindu religion, and maybe try to work it into the Fijian religion and stuff like that and their culture. Uh, and I could just put the story out there as John Constantine book, right? But then I was like, yeah, I think I could do something with this on my own. And this is like about, I don't know, about 11 years ago. And so I decided, well, you know what, I'll just finish it and I'll see what happens. And I stayed with John Constantine for at least about 7 months, I think. I actually designed a cover for it with John in it. You know, Constantine as a cover. Did some sort of like a hammerhead shark tribal design for the cover and everything. Had the smokes, had the whole brown coat, well, beige coat and everything, with the tie and all that. But after that, it was like, you know what? I'll just start working on my own and try to get it done. And over the last, on and off over the last, I guess, 10.5 years, I built more of the character, built more of what was going to go on with it, and did a whole like a 90-page script, film script, kind of comic book script, and then another one which had to deal with more of the mysticism of the Hindu religion and stuff, and then went for a third one, and then sort of stopped and just sort of let it go, and then I think, was it like mid last year or late last year, we decided to start working on Torn, or, you know, work together.
It was around September of 2020.
Yeah, so it's almost about a year ago that we've been working on this back and forth, and you know, and I'm very finical with how I want my characters to look, and it's kind of, I guess, in a way, they have to look a specific way, and until I'm happy, then I'll go, yeah, now this is ready to go. And that sort of, I mean, when you're working with the artist, that sort of can be real tough on the artist. And but then again, I want to be satisfied as someone who's creating it to say, hey, okay, this character has to look a certain way. Even when I remember paying somebody to do about 15 to 10 pages way back in 2011. I think it might have been 2011 by that time. And you know, he came out, was very clean cut, very you know, kind of not as rough as I wanted the character to look. You guys can find that I think it's 8 pages that's available right now, called Behemoth, on free download from Rises and Comics, on their website under on digital comics. It's black and white, but it's a complete 8-page story. It's kind of like a lead into who this character is, and you can just read that for free, and it's, you know, to get an idea of who this character is without. And so not only that, but it is an RM15 mature readers book. So, you know, it is, you know, it's not for kids, and I won't, you know, I'm putting it out there right away. It's not for kids. So there's a lot of elements of horror, magic, demons, angels, gore, you know, depending which way it goes in the future, because there is some gory stuff that happens. There's elements, I mean, it's hell, right? It's all, you know, the whole idea of Templeton, and it's based on part in hell, part on earth and stuff. So, you know, you've got this sort of switcheroo that goes on. And if you look at how the movie Constantine worked, it was like you had this beautiful, you know, normal looking everyday life on earth, and then you switch it around, and then you see this flames and all this gory stuff that's going on in hell. But because of my love for horrors, I mean, like, I've got Clive Barker here, so you've got stuff like Cabal and you know, Peter, you know, Madness of Cabal. If you guys have read the book Cabal, or if you've read if you watched the movie Nightbreed, you know, it's that sort of element to it. And so being raised on horror, I mean, not raised, but like having watched horror movies since I was a very young kid, on and off, to my adult life. And, you know, you kind of, you want to bring that sort of feel to a horror book, even though there's supernatural elements to it, and there is very, very heavy supernatural elements to it. So that's the lead into that. And you know, creating character was interesting. Like I said, it was based around Constantine, but I totally redid everything about the character so that it'll be different to what anything, you know, you couldn't even recognize it Constantine now if you read Templeton, because it, you know, after deciding that, yeah, this couldn't work for, you know, I couldn't do this with DC, you know, and I'll just do it for myself. Or at that time it was Vertigo, and so, you know, and he wasn't as famous now. Didn't have a cartoon series or, you know, involved in cartoon movie, animated movies. Didn't have a TV series. I guess Constantine had come out, and I really loved that movie at that time, which was about 2004, I think, might have come out,
I think
2005.
five. I think five.
Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, so that's the lead into who this character kind of was created, and background. So you know, you've been, I mean, you know, we've been working together on basically. I mean, I come up with the idea of how it looks, and then I toss it to you, and you come back. And so, how you been going with like, I mean, you know, be honest. I don't mind, you know, people knowing how, because like the whole idea of this one is to let people know when you're dealing with between a writer and artist how the form works, because I think because I deal with so many different writers and you know, with artists I should say, that I each one works differently on how we go back and forth, and you know what they think and how much I can expect from them and how much they can expect me to change to allow for things. So how did you find the process of having already seen the artwork of somebody else's work? Because I mean, we were looking, going, "Hey, we could just make it like that," and then I decided, well, yeah, I think we could recreate everything apart from one or two characters.
Yeah, well, I have to be honest here, as you said. I like the protagonist look, Templeton Smith, right? I like as he was before and as he is now, but for different reasons. His look has changed now. I like his clean cut. I'm just, I guess I'm a sucker for big, strong, like male protagonists who have their hair back and they have these wide shoulders and this clean face. But then again, the way you change him makes him also a badass, but you know, with more extras that he doesn't appear to have before. Also, the artist of the old pages that you showed me has done an incredible job. I mean, I think it would be a great book even with this style, you know. And to have reference page, you know, pages as reference, not only from other titles but from a former artist working on your project is very helpful for your new illustrator, in this case me, because it looks like, you know, you have been you had your you have agreed on these elements that were presented in the pages. That means I can be already into your mind and see what you like and what you don't. And then with our further conversations, you know, there is more understanding of your vision. But of course, it's lots of work because we have to rework sometimes on the art, on the pre-sketches that we do. We have to make conversation and sessions, you know, between us for some time. I mean, it took us around how much? It was at least a month. We were trying to, you know, finalize some designs of places, of characters, appearances. But in the end, I follow your instructions. I take little initiative because this is your vision. So you do sketches and then you set them and then I reproduce them in my own style. And then when we agree, we can move on. So it takes some time in between, but it is worth it, you know, in the end, I think. Yeah, it's worth it.
Mm. I mean, like that whole thing. Like, I mean, you know, like I work with another sorry, I write for somebody else, and in the sense that I edit somebody else's work on another project, an actual gaming project, you know, visual novel, and so
Mm.
I can't twist their vision to what I want, what I think is going to work. I just let them do their story, and I become the artist on that part where I just do my job, you know. And
Mm.
so it's kind of like a flip for me to like go, okay, I see how it feels to be someone who just has to, here's a job. This is what you can do, what you can't do, and you must stick to this thing. And in a way, it's kind of like really cool because I just follow what he says in his dialogue, and I just try to make it better. And then if he says, okay, that's not where I want to go, I go, cool. You just tell me where you want me to go, and I'll go with that, and I'll fill in what needs to be done. And then if you decide to chuck that out, that's okay. And I think that's basically, I guess it's kind of how it works in the sense when when you're working with an artist as a writer, and you're kind of like, it's kind of a team, and you're sort of like back and forth, trying to figure out what's going to work and what isn't. And because at the end of the day, you want to put out something that's, because people are going to be paying for this, right? We're expecting people to pay for this. And I mean, even recently, I pulled my book off Kickstarter because I was like, yeah, I'm okay with paying for it, but would people pay for this book and be happy with it if places of artwork is kind of like different to another art piece and stuff like that, if it's not fluid? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I don't think I could 100% agree with them being okay with it. And then I was like, had to make the big decision of saying, no, you know what, I'm going to pull this off, and then I'm going to restart it with another artist who's actually going to do the entire thing. And the same thing here, right? Restarting with another artist doing the whole thing from scratch and saying, okay, you get to do it in the way you think is going to work. And, I get to design the characters anew, fresh. I think the only character we stuck with was Jacinta, because Jacinta looked really cool, and there wasn't many changes we needed to make to him, because that character was really, straightforward. I think I've got him here somewhere. There's a little frame. I've been sitting around. Hopefully I can find it.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Centaur is the demon partner of the protagonist, Templeton. So yeah, that's the other character of the story. Cynic, evil, and you will see when you read the story when it comes out. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is the original, original two characters. In the blue there is the original design for Templeton, and Jacinta is the demon there. Let me see if you can get that right. And so he was really well designed, I must say, and and he graces the cover of the Sunspot magazine, which you can download for $2.99 on Pressington Comics digital, 64 pages, full color. But yeah, so I think I just like his design. I think it's a really cool design that he came up with. I think I can't remember his name, the original artist on that. It was what's it called? Freelance work paid hire to pay or something like that. Yeah, and this was like years ago, and so almost a decade ago. And now we've got this really cool looking hold up. You've got your Templeton, the new design of Templeton there.
Yeah, I can screen share it. Wait. I have to. All right.
Yeah. So I based the new design on like this one's got a more excuse me. So the character that the look of this older looking Templeton design is more let me see, Filipino. I think it's Filipino because the actual artist was from Philippines who did it, who designed the character. So it's more, kind of has a more European look to him. Whereas the new design that I came up with for, that's posted on Facebook.
Can you see
that I designed there? It's actually based off a Maori gentleman here in New Zealand. That I looked at this photo and I thought, yeah, he would look cool with that. Gave him a bit more long hair, got rid of the short hair, got you know, and just sort of made a bit more curly, a bit more rougher looking, bit of a you know, bit of a beard, goatee, and also gave him a coat, a longer coat than it's on this one, where it's only goes up to like halfway down the knee, or just above the knee, whatever thigh. Gave him some guns, you know, if you saw in the image there on Facebook. And yeah, try to give him a more Western sort of feel to the character.
Can you see my screen? I have shared it already.
You mean on here?
Yeah, I have done you know, screen sharing, and I saw your designs. Is it visible?
No, it's not. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So while Constantino's is fixing that out, so I think one of the other characters that actually shows up in I think it's in the second series, which is like 6, you know, like, which is like about issue 7 or 8, is a character that we brought into this one. I decided to bring in early.
Can we see this?
Yeah, can you bring up closer?
Yeah, like how can I?
Yeah, so it's got a bit more rough looking and bit more you know, the changes to him is quite different. I added skulls and sort of try to give it a bit more you know, a bit more demonic elements to it, because to kind of balance out that Placenta being a demon and Templeton being a human and hell. I try to add a bit more supernatural elements to the character of Templeton as well, so that it could balance out between, you know, the beast, the human, and of course the beauty, which is Sangam, which we, you know, who will be the later half of the actual of the book. And so it's kind of, you know, having decided to bring in a character that was going to be introduced about 8 issues into the first 40 page issue, a one shot, it's been you know, it was a bit of an interesting task itself. So I'm going to let you talk about the artwork, because otherwise I'm going to keep talking.
Well, for example, when it comes to the protagonist Templeton, basically Malfunction added him long hair, a goatee beard, some very cool coat, and 2 great looking weapons with skulls and numbers, sometimes Latin numbers, other times, you know, the Arabic numbers on them and on their forehead. Very cool boots, basically a very cool design that I think it's maybe to a degree inspired from anime, because they have very dynamic designs usually, especially when it comes to supernatural genre stories. So that's a good source of inspiration there for this type of thing. And then we have other characters the readers will come to see. Sangum, like the succubus partner of Templeton, a very charming, like demonic, of course, but very beautiful feminine figure. And then Pete Centaur, a very strong bodybuilding type of a demon. You know, this story, the way I have read the script for this book is, you know, it has its twists, its sense of action. It is it's like watching a movie, you know, the way I was reading it and I was imagining it flows very well. And so I believe, you know, along with a good story, since we have some very cool designs and very well written characters, I believe the readers will want even more. They will enjoy the first book, which is Thorn, you know, and we can say a synopsis about what Thorn is about, you know, in case someone hasn't heard of it before in our posts. You know what Thorn is about. Well, it is, you know, this book is basically the first, let's say, the first story after years after the Behemoth book. Okay, of the Templeton series. And in this case, we have this musician protagonist, a New Zealand musician, who is a celebrity, and then we see that he leaves our plane, he dies, and he tries to find his murderer. And in the meantime, we see how Templeton and his partner Chris Centaur are involved, and we will see how it goes when the reader will see for himself. And it has very good other elements. The hellscape is a big, ambitious thing that we work with Malfunction for many days to finalize its design and final conception. I have had to go through tons of images for references. Imagine images about hell, demons, Hindu temples. Like, they have a very intriguing look. And I have also had other image references. I have the former artists' pages as references. It has been a very interesting journey so far, and I feel very, very honored to have this opportunity to contribute in such an ambitious project, because Malfunction has written other scripts for the next books. It's not a small story; it's a big vision of a story. So I believe it's totally worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just a complete 40-page story. Which is almost like it's not a first act. It's like if you're watching a movie, it's like the half an hour of a movie. So it's half an hour show, but it's kind of I wanted to do it this way so we could do a complete show. But the thing about this is, like, it's based, like, the story of the character, like the character. Gosh, I always forget his the superstar rock star writer
Armstrong.
Filmmaker. Sorry,
Armstrong.
Armstrong. So Armstrong, Tahi, I think it is. One. Armstrong one. Tahi is one in Murray, and so Armstrong one. He's the best. The cream of the crop. He's Jimi Hendrix. He's friggin' I guess he's let me see. Not Tony Stark. Chris Pratt. Chris Pine. He's I guess he's Stephen King, if or John Grisham. He's everything, and and he's basically what happens when you got everything and you're living the high life. And that's basically the story of this Torn, is like this rock star Kiwi New Zealander superhero guy, not superhero, but I mean this larger than life character who's very creative, artistic, everything going for him. And then we realize there's things that's happened to him, and it's the story falls into goes forward from there. And then we have our characters Pacinta and Templeton show up on the case, and you go, who are these weirdos? Out of the blue, just go, who are these weirdos? And because there's some really vicious things that are happening before they show up, and you kind of think, well, where is this all leading to? And I'm hoping that the surprise and how it's all done, and the way we, as we slowly, once we start getting these pages finalized and stuff, we'll start popping them up on our website and on plungecomics.com, and you'll be able to see the work we put into it, the work that Constantinos has put into it, and the character development of the design work and stuff. I might pop some up, and once we put this out on YouTube, and so on, get some couple of things up there to show what the designs look like. The other thing is that when it's been almost a year long process from deciding to do the script, do this as a 40-page script, and to actually get it to where we're like, okay, now we can talk about it. Where I feel comfortable saying, hey, now let's talk about it. And I only decided yesterday to talk about this because at the end of the day, you can keep working on it and back and forth. I mean, like, I finished writing. I can't remember when I sent you the last last pages. Was it March or something, when
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's it. I don't have to do anything else with this. I'm gonna let go, and let Constantinos do the artwork.
Yeah, around that
Yeah.
time. It's
Yeah. So I mean, how do you feel about like working on somebody else's characters? I mean, I know we've worked on the cartoon characters or the PJ and Chibi, but this is
mm,
totally different element, right?
yeah, it's it's like because it's also this thing that you just said, the genre. It's different type of story. Thus, it requires also different type of art. So it's like you are a radio and you have to tune in a different station. And that's a good thing because the cartoon, the comic strip that we are doing, it's like a break for me. Templeton is like, do I want to hear some rock music for a while? Okay, that's it. That's my station there. I want to feel in a certain way. And Templeton is my chance here. And so, as I mentioned earlier, it's also an opportunity to grow as a creator, as an artist, because it pushes me harder, my limits, my creativity, and it also teaches you how to team up with someone. I mean, okay, in my book, I do pretty much everything on my own, but to also team up with someone gives you, you know, some other set of skills, and it helps you grow as a creator, as a person. So I think it's good for me. It has been very good, very beneficial.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I can describe it as trying to, like, listening to, watching like a slice of life anime, high school anime or something like that,
Mm,
and suddenly you're watching Detroit City Metal, Detroit Metal City, which is like a hardcore death metal anime, which is like just pulls you up by the hair and goes, and that's what I kind of like feel like this book's like. It's Templeton is basically like going right away, going, here, start slamming your head now, you know, the old or Metallica or Megadeth or probably Slayer. It's like basically turning up Slayer to 10 and going, this is what this book is about. And hopefully that energy and the feel of the story will come through in the work, in the comic book as you read it. Because, yeah, you're right. It's like turning off, changing the channel on the radio, going from hip hop or pop or, whatever's, popular or whatever's nice and happy, whatever, or danceable to whatever's like banging your head, and for me, this is what I think it is. It's kind of like being a metalhead as well. It's basically Slayer, what is it, Angel of Death, basically.
mm,
And, hopefully, and you're talking about like creating the hellscape. I mean, that was a hard one because I had an idea in my head of what hell should look like because I've been brought up religious, and so for several years, and so
mm.
no longer religious, but I mean I've read the Bible, I've read descriptions of what goes on, I've had preachers talk about it, I've watched movies on it, and of course we've got all these horror movies like Hellraiser and stuff. Clive Barker,
Yeah.
of course,
Oh,
grandmaster of what hell's going to look like, and so you've got all these images you can work from, so I try to delve into it as hard as I could. What do how do you feel about like trying to create that? What was it hard? Or I mean, like, I know I had my ideas, but you know
listen, I mean, you just mentioned some examples of sources of inspiration, and certainly the Bible does refer to it, but not like in such a great or grotesque detail. It's just some very
mm,
basics. Now, it's the
mm,
creativity of directors, comic book creators, illustrators that have given much more details at a set of different versions, but they all have
mm,
as a common horror,
yeah,
agony, no hope, not any chance
mm,
out from it. As long as you depict, as you transmit as a message, these elements, these feelings, I think you're pretty much good.
mm,
And in our case, the hell we depict is overcrowded. There are lots of buildings, lots of that are very grotesque and horror looking. There are huge statues of demonic forms. Through them, there are bridges and pathways. There is a set of different demonic creatures. There are souls that go through all kinds of torments. There are hell carriages, that they carry the new souls that have arrived in hell. And because of this environment, of course, there are many other things, hierarchy of demons, a leading demonic figure. Readers will see for themselves in the story. But because of this very environment, we see what the protagonist, Templeton, goes through. Because, he's the protagonist. And in this case, he's also the hero. How can a hero who works for hell tolerate something like this and not suffer at the same time? This is something the reader will have to see for himself. It's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, I was just looking for like Geiger's work. So I mean, like I'm very at a very young age. I was because of watching Hellraiser and Aliens and stuff. I was like a follower of Geiger's artwork, and I used to like really just and sort of I wanted that sort of kind of like real, like you said, hopeless, dark imagery, full of skeletons, full of skulls, full of grotesque looking demons and stuff. And and especially, I mean, Geiger's Geiger, and actually, because I mean Clive Barker himself is an artist, right? And he's I guess as much as he's a writer, but I mean when he was working on on the Hellraiser original movie, you could, I mean, that's an epic in its own right, as standalone on its own right, as what like we could imagine hell to be like. And because if it was like that, that's enough to scare anyone. And of course, it should, because it's a horrible looking thing, that his depiction of it.
Yeah,
but I think
I just wanted to add that Clive Barker's hell is a little more sterilized, not so chaotic. He has a very totalitarian sense of order, a labyrinth, strict architecture. It's not like, fire at rocks and
yeah, you're right. There is a lot of order to everything that it's in there. With gosh, I can't remember the name of the actual cubes that get you there, or the puzzles. But yeah, I think. But I think as much like I think there is order to hell in the sense of that way, apart in that way as well as there is always structures no matter what. I mean, if you look at it, for me, I think hell's a dictatorship, right? And that's that's what hell is. It's a dictatorship where someone's telling you 24/7 when to eat, when to when to sleep, when to go out, when to stay home, when to what to do, when to breathe, when to live, whatever, when you can't live. Because I think that's where hell is, where it goes, it stops you from it confines, it takes away all your rights. And I think I think that's what dictatorships are about, is like where you basically have no rights at all. And I think this is where I kind of like wanted to go with the whole idea of this book, was in the sense that my perception of hell would be that. So it's like, okay, if we kind of like, this is an overarching story. We're looking at about almost 10 comics here that is, issues that are set up for this, and on the long run, and and also what we're going to do with ones that we don't actually mention in this series, I think early on, or I can't remember if we do in this episode, where we actually, because it's a mature book, we're not going to, there's a couple characters that have the Templeton name that aren't in this story. And they will be in the later stories, but they'll be depicted early on in their life, then in the life that we're going to bring into Incredigold. And I've just written, brought them into Incredigold in issue 2, which we're just redoing for the new artists that we've got working on that. But I mean, that's the Templeton twins. And so I think the fun part about having a mature book is that you can do a lot of more adventurous stuff, and artistically, as well as, you know, mature elements of what you can bring into that you can't do in a, you know, in a PG book, like say PG and Shibi, or PJ and Shibi, or Incredible, or, you know, some other books that I'm working on that aren't, you know, mature. So what was, like, you know, like you said, you know, changing from a very down, you know, very PG series like PJ and Shibi to actually working on changing up to a mature reader story like Templeton?
For me, it's like when I read different types of comic books, I don't go only for one genre. You know, I like to go to
Mm,
different types of stories. So this is also when I work on different projects. It's good to work for the one type of thing. Okay, now let's switch to the other. It's diverse. It makes me feel fulfilling. It gives me a fulfilling experience as an artist. So I don't mind at all. It's easy to switch. You know, it's like when you have different types of thoughts in your head. You go from the one to the other. So it's like this for me when it comes to the projects. Also, for a moment, I had this vision of how it would be if PJ and CB were in hell. Hmm? That would be
mm.
kind of very. I mean, I can imagine. You know, you have this Japanese character running to save themselves from the monsters there, for example. That would be kind of funny. But
Mm.
you know, all in all, it's not difficult for me. I like the different genres I'm involved with. So.
Mm. Yeah, I think it is pretty cool to, like, you know, change from thing. You know, it's like me sitting, you know, working and then watching, having one sort of anime on, and then one day while I'm doing some, you know, writing, and then having another anime on, another type. Like, I do enjoy the isekai, you know, animes where you basically die and you come up into this fantastical world, or you get
Mhm.
transplanted to this fantastical world with elves and demons and fairies and magic, and the next thing you're just watching a, you know, normal sci-fi spaceships fighting and stuff, and it's and that's variety is a slice of life. I mean, you know, and I think it makes life so much more fun when you've got different stuff to work on, as well as to read or write or watch.
Yeah, indeed. And it shouldn't be a challenge for the reader either, because as it happens with us, or when someone gets into a comic book store, they have a number of choices. I'm certain they're not going to go, most of them at least, for one type of story, but different
Mm,
genres. So, yeah. Um, and I think Templeton is basically, it has elements of different titles that people have come to love and support, like Constantine. I think a little of Spawn, a little of Crow, a little of anime, as I said, like how what was it? The Alucard character, Helsing, yeah, the Helsing anime
yeah, yeah,
manga, yeah.
yeah. Helsing, yeah. Yeah, I love Helsing. I think the whole the vampire killer Helsing in that series is just really cool anime, and I think that's why it's
Mhm.
much loved. I think the manga is much loved because it's such a well-rounded character, and I think that's what I'm trying to go with this one, was like try to get a really well-rounded character happening, and that's why I think I think that's what made me bring Sangwam way back from issue 8 into issue 1, into this one shot, because I thought, like, what do I need to balance him out, because he's not rounded. There is no sort of, like, I need something to balance this character out. I've got my demon, I've got my monster, I've got my human. What am I missing? I'm missing my beauty, and
Mm.
I need my beauty in this to make it a balance. The trio, the triune, it has to be the Trinity has to be of these three characters. And because if we're going to have, like, if we're going to show the humanity of Templeton, then we have to show the balance, that what brings that balance to him, because he is in hell. And then you've got Placenta, who basically wheeze on people, and he doesn't, that's the kind of horrible person he is, and he's a demon. So why would you expect anything else from him, anything lesser than demon?
Mhm.
Being a total evil person. And but then, of course, then the idea is, well, what does Templeton bring to Placenta, and what does Placenta bring to Templeton? but then it's like, well, couldn't Placenta turn him, turn him more evil, make him a more horrible person as a human, because he's living in hell. So if he's living in hell, Placenta is his boss. So Placenta could have a more, more power over him and more influence over him than anything else. So he could turn evil himself. So what could work is if we brought someone I had in issue 8, I planned for issue 8 to come back into issue, this one shot, and try to bring balance to him right away, or maybe whatever part of this life is, because in hell, as far as we know, there is no time, right?
Yeah.
So I could, this story could be set like in the future or in the past, but in our world, but there it's like it's just everything's moving constantly and fluidly, and there's no time structure to hell. So, you could be looking out the window of whatever hell is, and you could see yesterday, and the next moment you'd be looking in 20,000 years in the future. Wouldn't really, and that's the kind of like that's the idea I was thinking, like, how do I play around with these characters? Because, I mean, I'm bringing the religious teachings I've had and stuff, but I'm really bringing the hardcore other elements of my life that I have, which is like a love for horror, growing up on horror movies, reading horror books, reading Clive Barker, reading, Stephen King, watching all these movies, and then just saying, how do I balance out a good supernatural story that actually has enough emotion in it to people to connect with? Because at the end of it was like, it's just kind of like a monster movie, no connection. And then I was like, and then when I wrote the first series, I straight away brought in his kids, and I said, that's what's going to balance them out. But I couldn't do it in this one, because then I needed to say, well, what if I can't bring it in the kids in this one, I need to bring the other element, which is to bring in a love interest, or maybe not even a love interest. Actually, how do we know she is a love interest until we find out? Or if we don't find it, what if she's like another evil person who's just using him for her own thing? Because she's a succubus, right? So succubuses, they could basically turn around and just say, well, see you later, as we say in New Zealand, kakite, and I got what I wanted out of you, so bye. And next thing you know, something like that could send Templeton way back into the evil side again. But I think this is the brilliance of actually starting with the characters first and having a story first, or a character first, and then building up from the ground up. And the cool thing is that it's like, it's what we're creating, and what we're building up, and we have the freedom to do that without looking over our shoulder, saying, is this the right way to go? Or, is this how you wanted it, sir? Apart from us going, yeah, and then we're bouncing it back and forth and saying, and rather than a committee saying, this is not how it should be or whatever. And I think, hopefully, I mean, you had a good time, you're having a good time working on it. And, what is there anything else you want to add? And then we'll close up in a couple of minutes after,
I mean, let's see. Maybe before the release of the book, we can start showing some of our art, meaning of the three sketches we have worked on, the design concept and all that, so that people can start having an idea, get interested, and see how much work we have put into this. And if you like adventure, horror, depth into the character stories and their dilemmas and the challenges they will face, if you like supernatural and horror, if you like Hellboy, Crow, Constantine, and or Helsing, the manga, if you like all of these type of things, this and more you will find in Templeton. And so I hope you will join us in this journey. I certainly have had lots of fun so far, and I hope you will have too when it comes out.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's still, we're still, getting it sorted. And once, we'll put up, like Constantino said, we'll put up some sample pages and stuff and try to, show you what we work, what the work's like. I just thought like it'll be cool to talk about it now, because as we build into it, we're actually you know, we actually laid the groundwork. We're building, you know, getting the foundation. You know, the walls are up. The walls are up. All we got to do is start working on the roof, as such, as they say in the building a construction industry, right? And
Yeah.
so this is, you know, this is hopefully you like, you know, you'll join us in trying to, you know, having a look at what we're doing, and support us when we get it out there. And yeah, we're gonna try to work really hard to get a good product out, and try to make sure that you know, it's a book that I'm proud of the story for it, and I'm
Mhm.
proud of the character designs and stuff, and I'm really excited about what what Konstantinos is doing, and I can't wait to see you know, the finished work, and then we can just carry on and start lettering it, because that's where
Mhm.
my job comes in, lettering it. And
Mhm.
you know, it's still a few months down the road, as far as I can understand, because it's going to take me at least a month just to letter it. Because 40 pages is a lot of lettering to do, designing the book and stuff. But and yeah, hopefully I didn't talk too much. I just want, you know, sorry we didn't have lots of things to show you because it couldn't be shared on this thing. But you will see it on plungecomics.com. We will
Mhm.
share some on Facebook here, but also, but yeah, if you haven't already sussed out, you know, visited plungecomics.com, check it out. We both of our works are on there. Our
Yeah.
PG and Chibi cartoon strips are for free. You can read those for free, and you
And
know, we got some more stuff that we got
and
coming out, and there's
yeah,
other stuff there that you can read.
and they can
And
follow us also on
yeah,
our social media to see artwork and learn more about the projects. You know.
yeah,
So.
you've got all the other things that we do as well, but also there's blogs as well, and there's, you know, stuff we talk about the industry and stuff. And you know, even though, you know, we create comic books, we still also you know, talk about comic books and comment on comic books as a whole and the industry
Mhm.
as a whole. And you know, the fun thing is that we actually create what, you know, what we love, and we, you know, we work on these projects because we're excited about them. Otherwise, we wouldn't be trying to put them into actual physical form or spend all the time that we do on creating those things. At the end of the day, it's we love what we do, and I know I do. Writing's all I do most of the time,
Mhm.
and design. And so I think when you have someone who's willing to work with you as an artist to put those words into actual images and in a comic form, it's really cool and really exciting and very, you know, it's very rewarding to see the end product and to see the work as you go along, and you know, every step of the way, seeing,
Mhm.
you know, seeing the images and seeing the design work. And it's a real fun process. It's also a hard process because it's hours and hours and hours and hours of work goes into it.
Logic.
Even after, you know, I've said the images over, I mean, sorry, the words are script over, there's still tons of work that's done outside of that, that, you know, the artist has to deal with. But then it comes back to me, and or the letterer, and we design the book and letter it. And so there's a big, huge process. I mean, like, it's been almost a year that since we started the project, and you know, and yeah, hopefully you guys will support us in our endeavor for this. And any last words, Konstantinos, and then I'll close up.
Just stay tuned, and there is more coming in the way. Many amazing stuff.
Awesome, excellent. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight, and just want to keep this one short, and because of course the work isn't done yet, so we just wanted to say it's not completed yet, so wanted to keep it short and sweet, like kind of like a teaser, and just talk about it. And thank you for joining us, Kakiteano, wherever you are. Thank you, Konstantinos, for taking your time out. It's 11 o'clock
Okay.
there in the morning,
Yeah,
is it?
in my
Yeah,
my part of the world. Yeah.
yeah. It's 8 o'clock evening here, and it's 11 o'clock over there
Mhm.
in Estonia. So thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Kakiteano. Wherever you are, be safe and be well.
Okay.